Um, unlike Jim before, I'm a bit of a walker, so please put up with me wandering around and we'll see how we go. Just so you're aware, Ruralco is a holding company for about 40 different brands, which includes CRT, Town and Country, Roberts, Rodwells, and a range of wool businesses, livestock businesses, which includes dairy, and we have a range of operations around Australia. So just so you know, because everyone always says, who's Ruralco? I want to talk about a number of things, but I'm going to start at quite a higher level, regional, rural and remote. I'm going to come down to agribusiness, the advisors that I work with, what I see some of the problems as being, what I think is going to happen in the marketplace, and then I want to look at a few solutions. Because having been a teacher of agriculture, physics and chemistry, I think that some of the solutions actually need to come through from that base at a high school level, or probably even before. And I've got up here some terms, law, engineering. I spent a fair bit of time on planes, talking to lawyers and engineers. And I've got a mate of mine who's up at South West Rocks, who'd like to go to South West Rocks and work, nice little coastal village. He's a solicitor, he can't get people to move to South West Rocks and Kempsey to do law. Engineering. I do know there's a large organisation around Wagga. It's a national organisation, can't get first year civil engineers to Wagga for $80,000 a year. Doctors and medical professionals, difficult getting those people. Builders, teachers, we've all know about it. It's not just agriculture, but I'm going to talk about agriculture because some of these difficulties are paling into insignificance compared to where we are. We've just heard Jim talking about the lack of graduates coming up through, and I'm going to talk about how that's going to manifest itself. Okay, agribusiness, competitors and allies. I'd like to think that we work very closely with everyone in the room. However, everyone in the room is possibly a competitor for graduates. So I'd like to think that we're going to get out there before you guys to track down the right people. Very diverse agriculture, obviously a very diversified market and requirements. So I'm going to hone into the sort of people that I'm looking for, which is quite specific. So what is agribusiness? It's anything you can throw, point a stick at, those types of things. Finance, insurance, farm management, academia, R&D, manufacturing, advisory, extension. There's a whole range of opportunities out there. Now, this is really good news if you're a recent graduate, because there's a huge number of opportunities, 3,000 plus jobs a year for potential 800 graduates in that sort of order. So the opportunities are fantastic. So everyone here, including the recruitment agencies or businesses, at the moment, you're all competitors. I want to talk about these fine fellows there, advisors, consultants, and agronomists. They're all out there learning about, I think this is, it's a barley crop, near Barley, out around Horsham. So, setting the advisory scene, and there's no brain surgery in this. Now, there's no brain surgery. Farmers are getting older. Farms on average are bigger and more complex, we heard that this morning. Advisors, private and agribusiness, government-based on average are getting older. When I first started, or when I graduated, I think the average age of a commercial agronomist was about 2.5. The average age now, and just looking at a paper that's going to be presented later on, is in that sort of 40 to 45. So the age group is moving along. We don't have a lot of backfilling coming on. The advisory scene has changed a lot, and I know this is probably going to upset some people in the room. It isn't based around government. The majority of on-farm advice is carried out by agribusiness and private consultants at that one-on-one level. There's very few, and you can probably argue this with me, very few government agencies who supply one-on-one. There are a few that do it and do it quite well, and there's organisations like BSES which do an awful lot of one-on-one and also group work. So we just need to think about that a lot of the advisory work is actually being taken up by the commercial sector. And so this is the marketplace that's actually growing. And when we look back at this, that marketplace might have only been sort of 400 or 500 commercial agronomists, private agronomists, say 10, 15, 20 years ago. That number, and a rough estimate, and I'd like some better figures, but I'm just thinking between ourselves, Ruralco, Landmark, Elders, IHD, NRI, AIR, businesses that are out there, I'm estimating that there's around about 1,000 commercial advisors out there. So, if we've got attrition in there, how do we go about finding an advisor? Well, the only place to find one is actually in a delivery ward at a hospital. It sounds like a throwaway line. I can tell you right now that my opposition, they're not so much at the hospital waiting for agronomists to be born, but they're certainly waiting in first and second year at universities and targeting very bright young students at that early age so that they can bring them into their organisations. Yes, we do the same thing. We've sponsored people to go through university and then to come back into the business and give them work experience through that. So we're actually seeing now an increased level of targeting at that young age. There is a chronic shortage of agronomists nationally. And I've got down there I could place between 20 and 25 people today. So if anyone's looking for a job in agriculture, and specifically in commercial agronomy, I'll be here. I've got business cards and I'd love to talk to you. And it sounds like a bit of a throwaway line, but it's true. Every week I would get 2 or 3 phone calls saying, Mark, business is growing pretty well. I need to put on some more staff. We've got a business in Queensland that 10 years ago, I went in and sat down with the owner of the business and said, look, your business is growing. I think you're going to need an agronomist. Waste of time, don't want to have any. That business now has 8 agronomists and that growth has been in the last 6 to 8 years. So there's been some significant changes in the marketplace, and we're now seeing the need for more and more agronomists out there. I've put a guesstimate there that there's a requirement just about any day of the week of about 100 plus agronomists, commercial advisors. And it's a guesstimate talking to my competitors at Landmark, Elders, etc. We do talk occasionally. And a lot of that doesn't actually even hit the papers to be measured. A lot of it's word of mouth. Hey, by the way, I'm looking for someone. This business needs someone to go in there. So a lot of that placement also happens by chance of word of mouth. Now, if we're saying we need about 100 people in a very specific part of the sector, and we've got this limited number of graduates coming through, the system's not in equilibrium. It's going to start falling to pieces. So, advisors, and especially as we see government sectors, if they do continue to withdraw from face-to-face contact, reduce their contact at a one-on-one level, we're going to see a lot of these commercial advisors starting to burn out because the requirements on these guys is actually quite high. You can have a 22, 23-year-old there talking to a farmer at the kitchen table about the cropping program for the next 12 months, about finance, these types of things. And we've just seen with cyclones in northern Queensland the amount of stress that puts on communities, droughts in Western Australia. And what happens is that the farmers come back in a lot of cases and they talk to their advisors, whether they be a private consultant or a commercial agronomist, and they talk about how their business is going. And a lot of that stress at the farmer level also gets passed back onto the advisors. And I'll use the term advisor consultant all over the place, but to their consultants. And so we need to be quite careful about how that's going to be portrayed as we go forward. Because these guys, boys and girls, are eventually going to burn out. We also need to consider about how we're going to manage that. Okay, I'm going to come back to my marketplace because it's me. I missed out on being Gen X by 2 days. So, about 230 plus Ruralco agronomists around Australia. 98% at least 1 degree. I counted up the number of PhDs today, and I think there's 5. So out of the 230, we've got 5 PhDs. There's quite a number of people there with masters in science, MBAs, these types of things. It's becoming very much a very intelligent part of the marketplace. Whereas the old perception of advisors were young tearaways that had that's changed because those young tearaways that we probably saw and going back to the wonderful years of IAMA, great development of people through the industry. And there were quite a lot of young agronomists. All those young agronomists 25 years ago are now still in business, and they've matured a lot. We have some consultants working in business, so where we actually employ private consultants, set up consulting businesses, and this is our member businesses. Many of our advisors actually buy into the business, and so what that means is that for us, that's a way of shoring up our business, so we don't have a 20% staff turn in our advisors. We actually have a very low staff turn, and we're in a true growth strategy at the moment, where, and like people in the room would argue with me, but I would suggest that our staff turn with our member business is probably between 3 and 5% at the top end, which is actually quite low, and that poses other issues, but we can talk about that later. Okay, these people are technically focused and client focused, and it's a rapidly growing market. Okay, quickly, what I'm told about recruiting in agriculture. There are plenty of candidates. I've been told that, and I just see some people laughing up there. You don't pay enough, there are no candidates, and I've been to most of the recruitment businesses around Australia in the last few weeks. There's more money in mining, always hear that. We can't compete with government, we can't compete against a private business. So there's all these excuses out there and reasons why recruiting in agriculture is hard. But I actually went and asked my competitors and both internally about how hard is it to recruit in agriculture. The first one's pretty straightforward. Hard, very hard. Finding roles for people is almost impossible. The market is not liquid. There really isn't a high turnover, I don't think, anymore. People get settled, and we'll talk about that, and so we don't see it turning over. It's a very small gene pool that we're all fishing in. In other words, we're recycling the same bodies over and over and over again. And dollars alone don't shift people, but it certainly helps in some cases. So how do we recruit in this marketplace? Look, in an advisory business, there are 3 ways we can gain employees. I mean, we'd love to be there and be able to train all of our people and bring them through graduates and employ graduates the whole time and target more of the marketplace, but that's probably not going to be it's probably not going to be the easiest in a member-based business. Obviously, we like to wait for opposition to upset their really good people so that their staff leave and they come and join us. That's much preferred. And the last one there is obviously targeting opposition staff that we feel are going to have a fit within our business. All 3 are providing results, but they're limited results. It actually is very hard work to get any traction in any 3 of those areas. And a lot of that's being driven by the fact that the number of graduates coming through is actually quite low compared to the size of the marketplace. So these guys, they're not the problem because they're already out there, and most of those people have been with the same business 5, 10, 15 years. They're quite loyal. They don't like moving around too much, but they do like getting out and walking around a paddock. It's finding qualified people I find is the hardest thing. But what is qualified? And I actually asked some of the recruitment business about what's a qualified person, and I get a whole range of different things: degree or 2, postdoctoral fellow, a person who has the capacity and capability to do the job, which I think is pretty close to it, preferably with both of the previous ones, and that last one, they've got a heartbeat. What we need to be really careful about, though, is that if we don't do something about increasing the number of people to come through and into agriculture and study agriculture, this is what the farming industry and agriculture is going to be left with as their advisors.